Hello everyone, welcome to another Table Talk review. Today we're doing a review and comparison because we're reviewing the Trekking the World 1st and 2nd edition.
So one of the main differences from just the box is the 2nd edition box looks a lot nicer than the second one.
So
the second one looks better than the first.
Yes, I think the colors pop more in the 2nd edition, where in the first one they kind of focus a little bit more on the explorers.
And it's darker. They use darker
Yeah,
colors.
yeah. I mean, I get it. Kind of a wooden suitcase, but I mean, I think people are more inclined to be colorful with their luggage today.
They're definitely more attracted to the bold and colorful. So
Yeah.
yes, the artwork on the box wise, 2nd edition wins.
Yes.
Okay. But overall, artwork in the game is basically the same.
So also, one difference is player count.
Yeah.
In the 2nd edition, there is a solo mode. There's a whole second rulebook for solo mode.
It's a page.
And a second deck of cards. I believe I slipped in here.
It's a pamphlet.
So you have this entire deck of cards for solo play, which I think is intriguing.
And I like that they have solo option.
Yes. So moving on to components. There's some different components here, some of the same components. For first and starters, the suitcases, the player boards for each player. In the 1st edition, they're kind of like flimsy cardboard tiles.
Mm-hmm.
In the 2nd edition, they're double-layered boards.
Yes.
Which is nice.
Yeah, the cubes stay in place. They don't slide around.
Like 1st edition.
Yeah, okay.
Also, the 1st edition ones are double-sided, though, because of player count options. Where the second one is just, here's your points.
Not necessary.
They've standardized it. Doesn't matter player count.
Okay.
So we'll talk about the difference for gameplay a little later. But the cards, as you can see, I grabbed Great Barrier Reef and Grand Canyon out of both editions to show that they use pretty much the same artwork. In the 1st edition, they kind of made it more like a Polaroid-looking thing on the back. But in the 2nd edition, actually, I'm just curious. Yeah, they're actually smaller cards.
Okay, and that's fine.
I don't have a problem with it. But they use the same artwork for those as well, which is nice. And some little tidbit of information, make it a little educational on the back side, which is also pretty interesting. Looking at it, it looks like the information's a little different, which is cool.
Well, they gotta summarize it a little, and this one is smaller.
So moving on, we have the cubes,
which are basically the same.
They're wooden cubes. I mean, pretty standard in board games. I think they went a little lighter in colors. The red, the blue is a little lighter, and they went with black instead of white.
They got the meeples.
Meeples are exactly the same color, player colors. That hasn't changed. They have the
reference
cards, as you can see. Once again, smaller, but also just different because it reflects the new gameplay. Let's see, what else? The player cards, they have these weird... I mean, I recognize it. That's usually like passport stamps.
Yes. And so in 2nd edition, we do not have that.
No, these have been traded out with itinerary cards, but then they have the back of these journey log cards.
It's just art.
Yeah, it's just art, but that's what we're talking about right now. Art and components. So all the card qualities are the same. They're really good. They added a first player marker, which I think is nice. It's funny that's a compass. I like it.
I like it. And the reason being is in the 2nd edition, it's equal turns.
1st edition, whoever ends the game, ends the game.
Yeah.
They also added this money dial, which is an aspect of gameplay that's new to the 2nd edition.
Because we're dealing with money in the 2nd edition.
Where in the 1st edition, the cards are kind of taking over. That's what the old way was. But there's also these tiles for most cubes.
And that's in the 1st edition. We don't have that in the 2nd. They took that out.
So you can see some changes has happened. Also, one more is these map tiles tokens they're pretty much on par with, most games. They're very nice. They're very good cardboard shits with some points.
Yeah.
But they're cardboard shits for points. Anyway, moving on to, I would say,
the gameplay.
Gameplay and complexities of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, for starters, I guess I'll start with... Actually, let's start with the board. So the boards are pretty much the same between the two. But in the first edition, they had these map tokens, which would be randomly distributed. And they would go out, and as potential bonus points if you collected the last cube off of the randomly strewn about the maps as it was in the first edition. Put them in the bag, put them out, and if you stop in a spot, you get cubes.
So in this edition, you get the cubes if you use the card and end in the proper continent, and then you get those assigned cubes.
Right. So they took away from the maps because since the cubes don't go on the map anymore, can't use them anymore. Another difference that they took away are these journey logs. In the first edition, they had the journey logs, which allowed, I think, for replayability. There's some rule changes because there's a little deck. You get one for each game, or two, one of each kind. And it's something else you can do in your turn because you could draw cards, or you can do a tour, or you can do these journey logs as an option for gameplay. Because it was just another option where they removed it in second edition. But part of that is because of how you play. That being said, it's in the first edition, it's these tokens, iconography cards that you would collect. You would have to play one to move based on the number, but then based on the ones that you have left in your hand, you'd have to spend to collect the tour. So for example, this guy needs 2 tours or 2 hikers and a water card. That has completely changed because you don't have a hand of cards in the second edition.
No, you would select your movement, and then you earn money, and then when you land in the proper location and have the right amount of money, you could spend it to get the tour.
Which, same thing where you had to be in the same location, just, money instead. Or, where the back of these were a little bit of information, we were going over some of the information, is that...
You can earn this bonus, and it could be either endgame bonus or like one-time action bonus if you land that location.
So, where this one was, here's a deck of locations, this one, deck of locations, but you split in half. So you have half on each side. There's sometimes some locations won't show up in one game because they're being used for the excursion versus the tour.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting.
I guess this is similar. It's comparable to the journey log.
Yeah. That's kind of where the journey logs went to, on the back sides of the locations. Let's see, what else is there? These cards I mentioned is getting those cubes, but you have to get 2 cubes of a color to get these. These will move around throughout the game because someone gets more than you, they can be stolen.
Versus in the second edition, when you get the cubes to fill in the spot, you'll earn that token, and then you can spend it on your turn to do the action, like an extra movement or fly to the airport, double your money or double your cubes. It's pretty cool.
Yes. Let's see, is there anything else? I mean, that pretty much covers pretty much all the differences
In the game.
Well,
like a quick mention of the rulebook. They're both simple and short, with pictures. This is 8 pages. That one's 7, but the text is large. And then the insert.
This insert is pretty much mostly packed away in one thing with the lid. The only thing that doesn't fit in here is a board and the little baggie for the cubes, and everything in here.
It fits nicely. The insert
it has a
fits
spot,
well.
but it doesn't actually have like a cap on it. It has a cap for the smaller bits. This would go in here for this game.
Yeah, so I mean, still very good quality. I like the insert. It keeps everything in place.
Yeah. So the score pads are also all relatively the same because this one has a couple more spots because it has the most cubes bonuses, and you have the maps and these bonus points, which actually would be Century Spice Road if you're familiar with that kind of style. But these would be loaded up in a row, and if I got the Grand Canyon, I get these points. Get the Great Barrier Reef, I get some extra bonus points, and then you have a couple more than the deck. Where this, everything's face up. The deck, even the one on the top of the deck, is available as a choice. And where, as I mentioned in this one, you have a hand of these, you play one, maybe you grab a tour, or draw some more of these cards in your hand. This one, you grab this thing, you move, you collect your money, you collect your cube, maybe. And then you can do a tour or excursion.
Yeah.
That's it. So I think more streamlined over here than this. A little bit more clunky, but it's got, I think, the clunkiness added a touch of more strategy.
Yeah, definitely more strategy in that one.
So,
so you can give your preference and then your rating.
So my personal preference between the two, based on things we've discussed, I think I like the second one more, just because it seems to be a little bit quicker. Playing both of these in a way where I feel like I was thinking more in this one, and I felt a little bit more AP on what to do. For this one, it's kind of like I know what I'm doing. Unless you took the card I wanted, then I'd have a minute to rethink and then replan. But as far as our personal rankings on this channel, the first edition for me is a play it. Just to have that experience and see, because they definitely pulled a lot of their predecessor into this game. But Trekking the World second edition is a buy it for me because it is different. Because they said pulled away from trekking the national parks. Trekking the World's close enough to national parks that I don't necessarily need this one. That one I would like to have because it's different.
Okay. So for me, I do like first edition in the way that there's more replayability, and I like I feel like you do have to think there's more strategy in the first edition. I like the second edition because it's more streamlined and the gameplay runs smoother, so I feel like it's faster. Overall, though, I like the second edition better just because the smoother run, and I like equal turns. I like games that try to do as much to balance out the turn order compared to the first edition. My rating is actually the same for both. It's play it. I enjoy both games and I would play them, but I don't feel the need to buy it just because I feel we have other games that are similar enough. And you know, when you have to be selective in what games to buy and what to have in your storage, this one is just not enough.
Just not quite there.
Not there yet, just to get on the shelf.
Just touch off.
Yeah.
All right. Well, your turn. So that has been a comparison and a review of Trekking the World first and second edition.
Thanks for watching.
Please like, subscribe, comment down below, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye for now.